Good evening, Los Angeles. Manifold here. I hope everybody's having a phenomenal day today. We are back to talk about some more Helldivers 2, just recommendations and my thoughts on what they could do to change the game, to maybe improve it, and to have it so that it doesn't break, for every update. I've said this in my other videos, and I have had people echo the same things, that they are having problems with their games as well. But it's been coming up on 3 weeks now where I can hardly open my game, to where I freeze on my starter store or super store or whatever it's called, and I can hardly go into a mission without stuttering, freezing, hiccuping, all of these things, unfortunately. I was told that a lot of the console players are not having this issue, which I am, very happy for, the console players that are able to still enjoy this game. And there are still a lot of PC players that are able to enjoy the game, from what I saw in my comments and on, online. But for us that cannot run the game, which apparently is a good number of the divers that are out there, it stinks, because I love this game a lot, and I want to be able to play this game, and help with the major orders, and just continue to level up and unlock, unlock war bonds and whatnot. But I unfortunately cannot even open the game without it completely crashing or freezing my computer, which is worrisome, for the health of my computer in the long run. So I came up with 2 changes that I think could see improvements for Helldivers in general. The first one might be my most controversial take, which is why I'm going to start with that one. And yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I would love to know if you guys agree or disagree with this sentiment here. The one change I could see that would fix Helldivers altogether, and like I said, this might be controversial. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. I'm not a game developer, but at this point, develop a new game. Now, before you guys click off, I would appreciate it if you would just give me a little bit of time so I can, explain myself and my reasoning for this. So, we all know that Helldivers 2 was developed on a very outdated engine called the Autodesk Stingray engine. Now, this engine was discontinued back in 2018, so this engine has been discontinued for 7 years. It has not received any updates or changes or fixes to the engine. Now, from what we've seen, it works, very well with Helldivers. I mean, it was only up until recently to where, I started crashing, I started hitching, and having all these freezing issues. But apparently, this has been happening to players, long before this. And, of course, I joined when the Illuminate were added. I literally joined, I think, 2 days before the Illuminate were added. And apparently there were people that were crashing then even as well. And I think at this point, developing a new game with an updated modern engine. I'm not saying use Unreal 5. Lord knows we don't want Unreal 5 for a game, in my opinion. But developing a new engine that can support these bigger updates that they want to continue to make would help us as players. The engine would be able to handle more of the game and would be able to, handle all these things that they want to add into the game. Now, what would happen to Helldivers 2? If they were to develop a Helldivers 3, like a sequel, or call it, Helldivers 2, Super Earth Updated Edition or something of the sort, what would happen to Helldivers 2? Well, a thought of mine would be that they could sunset it, sunset Helldivers 2 like they did with Overwatch, like they did with Counter-Strike, and let us either upgrade for free, or let us either, pay $20, $30 to upgrade our game, and everything would carry over, war bonds, weapons, everything would carry over, and this would allow them to be able to add, way bigger updates into the game, and hopefully not have as many people that would, crash and have the game, freeze their PC. Now, I understand, of course, this is not like an immediate fix. This honestly wouldn't be something that they could, of course, just do in the next year or 2 years, unless they've already been doing it. But for the longevity of the franchise, I feel like this would be a good idea. And like I said, I'm not a game developer. I'm not going to pretend like I know how to develop a game and how engines and stuff work. All I know is what the developers from Arrowhead have told us, and other people's analyses of this. Arrowhead did release a statement in the Making of Helldivers article that they have. You can Google that and They talk all about their engine and whatnot, or I can link it. I guess that's not a big deal either, but it's a PDF. And one of the main quotes that talks about using the Stingray engine was, when shopping around for game engines, we weren't interested in those that were essentially level editors, which, 100% agree with that. Like, that the fact that they're able to build these worlds from the ground up is incredible, and hats off to the devs for, using an outdated engine like this, and the game still looks incredible. And when the game runs very, very well. And that's why, it's, I don't want to say it's hard for me to make a video like this, because at the end of the day, it is just a game. But I get that the devs want to make the best game possible and want to have as many people play the game as possible, but it's become nearly impossible, for myself and many others to be able to play the game on this current engine. Now, continuing with that quote, they did say the Unreal Engine, for example, is essentially a modding tool. We didn't want to mod something. We wanted to build our game the way that we had envisioned it, and the Stingray engine allowed us to do that. Now, like I said, again, hats off to the devs. I mean, I love this game. I love the story building of this game. I love the gameplay. It's incredible. But as they've addressed, in multiple statements, they've said in multiple statements as well that the engine that they built the game on is the main thing that's holding this game back. And that's unfortunate, because imagine the updates we could have gotten, and, just the things that we could have gotten if they would have used a more updated engine, and maybe we all would have been able to play the game without any, serious crashing or freezing issues, and, we wouldn't be having this problem right now. And of course, I'm making more videos now because, it's happening to me more, but of course, if it's not happening to you guys, please let me know, because I heard console players are fine, and there are a lot of PC players that have been fine, but there are still a lot of PC players affected by it, myself and my squad included. The other change that I would recommend, if the developers are gung-ho, and staying in the Stingray engine, continuing to build these worlds from the ground up the way they've been doing it, honestly, not a big deal. But the second thing that they would need to do at that point is dial these updates back. The Hive World update into the Unjust was incredible. Fighting the Bile Dragons and going into the caves and the cave systems and the Hive Lord, that is the most fun I've had on this game, apart from the time when I first joined and we're fighting the Illuminate. The Into the Unjust update was so incredibly fun to play. I was like, I legitimately at that point was willing to grind Helldivers on stream every day for like a month, because I was having so much fun. Dust Devils Warbond with the Coyote was incredible. The solo silo is janky to use, but still was super fun to use. But like, I was having so much fun with the update, and then slowly I started noticing these things. First, it was the audio bug, where my audio when I was in the caves would like legitimately sound like I was ringing like tinfoil on a cheese grater. Like, it sounded so bad, and I could hardly listen to it, because it was legitimately giving me a headache. And people that were watching my stream, they could hear it too, and it was this horrific, like, grindy, like, fuzzy, interference sound. And first it was that. Then it was enemies becoming invisible on my screen when you can't. Enemies that weren't supposed to be invisible. There were Bile Dragons that were invisible. There were Chargers that were invisible on my screen. That happened. Then my guns started not working. Then when we went to the bot offensive, of course, because the major order was to fight the bots, then my game just started to fall apart completely at that point. I showed it in my last video where the game would legitimately freeze for 10 seconds. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 seconds. And I'm not exaggerating. The game would freeze, and then I would come back and I'd be in a completely different position. And it wasn't lag. My stream was fine. It wasn't lag or anything. And my teammates that were in the game were experiencing the same thing too. I was playing with them, and the game would freeze, and then we'd be in a completely different position. And we went into the next game, like, oh, that's probably just a one-off thing. Well, then it got worse. Then it was about every 30 seconds. It would freeze for about 5 seconds. And then altogether, at the end of the mission, it just froze mine and one of my other squad mates, Tallest Break 3. It just froze our computers completely. And we had to hard reset our computers, and which ended our streams, ended our recordings, corrupted the recordings, and that's my fault. I should have had like an MKV file recording it. But having smaller updates at that point would be better than having these huge updates. Now, huge as, huge according to the size of the game, than having these huge updates that are just going to continue breaking the game and continue making the game worse. This gameplay that you've been seeing is, I think this was the week into the Unjust came out, and the game still had audio issues, but, I was still able to play it without any freezing or hitching or hiccuping. And then, of course, the following days it occurred. But if these big updates, big, and like I said, big as compared to the game itself, if these updates are the things that are killing the game for a lot of people, you're going to need to dial these updates back. Instead of having us fight completely new enemies every single update, or not every single update, but the plans that they have for this game. Instead of us getting a ton of new content each update, dial it back. Add maybe 2 new war bonds in an update, and maybe update an enemy, or maybe add 1 new planet, or one new like enemy type to fight. Like, the fact of the matter is, they cannot keep releasing these big updates that break people's games, because guess what? Then people are just not gonna play the game, and that's the unfortunate part of it. People are just not gonna want to play your game, and they're not gonna want to deal with it potentially damaging their PCs, stopping their streams. And for people that don't stream, I mean, what if you only have like an hour or 2 to play, and a lot of the time is consumed by freezing and audio issues and hiccuping? You're not going to want to play that game. No matter how much you love the game, you can't play it. So why would you stick around and play it? Like, you're going to go play something else. And that's my main concern for this game. I don't want to see this game die. I know over time, of course, the game will fizzle out and will be replaced by something else. And, that's okay. That's just how games are. A game can't go on forever unless it's World of Warcraft or RuneScape, LOL. But I don't want to see this game die before it needs to. This game is still amazing. It's vibrant. It's fresh. I love playing it. The developers are still, as we can see, very passionate about making the game as great as they possibly can. And I do have faith in the developers that they can do that. They've delivered us an amazing game right now. Before all the technical stuff happened, but they've done a great job delivering us an amazing game, and I am sure that they can do it again. And whether it's making a new game, whether it's having these smaller updates, or hey, whether it's maybe they're able to update this engine somehow. I don't, like I said, I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about game development or engines or whatnot, but maybe there's a way that they can update it and make it so that it runs better on people's PCs and whatnot. I don't know. Guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I want to know, are you guys crashing? And if you are not crashing, what platform are you playing on? And if you are crashing, of course, let me also know what platform you're playing on. How often does it happen to you? Does it happen when you're fighting the Illuminate, the Terminids, or the Automaton? Or does it only happen when you're fighting one or all 3? I really do want to know what is going on in your guys' games as well. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate your guys' time. Consider subscribing if you enjoy the content and want to watch some other videos and live streams. We stream 6 days a week here on the channel. A lot of different things now. But as soon as Helldivers is fixed, we will be back on Helldivers 2. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate your guys' time. Hope you guys stay hydrated. Hope you guys stay healthy. Hope you guys have a phenomenal rest of your day. Take care, everybody.